My name's Steve Old. I lead the cloud specialist team here at Claranet. Basically, my job is to help customers understand what technology can help them solve their business problems.
Similarly, my name's Marsh. I'm a cloud specialist here. Help customers understand the cloud and plan their journey through the cloud.
When it comes to reasons for customers moving to the cloud, we did an internal training session this recently with the team where we looked at the business reasons more than the technical reasons, and we generally came down to cost, alignment with a particular technology. So maybe people want to do big data or AI, start getting better information from what they've got out there, that they want to innovate more quickly, that they're struggling with scale, or that they're feeling they're going to fall behind if they don't.
Yeah, I think the big thing is the innovation and versus competition. You know, a lot of the customers we speak to, they feel as though their customers are already on that journey and they're trying to catch up, or they're trying to drive further innovation to differentiate themselves and give them a competitive advantage.
When people have decided to start the move to the cloud, quite commonly they'll suddenly realise they don't know what that means, they don't know what they've got to move, and they suddenly realise that over time their infrastructure has got bigger and bigger and probably less known within the business, and maybe people that built certain bits have gone on and left and found new jobs. So the first thing they need to do if they want to be successful is understand where they are.
I think one of the biggest challenges sometimes is it's natural to assume that a customer knows everything within their infrastructure. You know, you speak to the high level, C-level guys that you need to get buy-in to make that move happen and to derive the maximum benefits. And the first part is this discovery phase and finding out what have you got, and then how does that translate into the cloud, and that involves multiple teams generally for customers, so it can be quite it's an important process.
It doesn't mean people have done a bad job.
No, for sure.
It's quite natural within the industry. People shouldn't be scared of what they don't know. They just need to get themselves to a place they know it, and it means they've got a far better position once they have moved. Yeah. Because they'll actually have a decent understanding of how their business works.
I think for me it's like they say, we want to get projects out there and deploy them quickly, and naturally when you've got that impetus, you just want to spin things up and get things going, so your infrastructure naturally grows out. I think the part of cloud, it being pay as you go, and an important part of what we do is to see how do we minimise that, but you can still got that agile approach to adopting new projects and new technologies.
One of our new customers we've just onboarded, they went at it alone first, very common. They've got skill sets internally, they've got IT teams who understand their current estate to an extent, and so what they've tried to do is extend that into public cloud. The problem there is you don't gain any of the benefits, and therefore you're certainly not going to see any of the cost benefits. If you move like for like, you're probably going to end up spending more. So we went in, we initially did a review, and we kind of helped them understand what they put there, how that could change, and how they could start getting a better performance, because really you're getting the same thing as you were before, with very little benefit, potentially paying more. But then how to start cost reviewing, how to reorganise the team to start doing things better and use those tools that are built in that suddenly make it more secure, more repeatable. And so you're not having to do the same thing over and over again. You can just make the tooling do that.
With regards to business outcomes and focusing on them, I think it depends on the people that you're speaking to. So to get buy-in and to get the greatest success from adopting the cloud, you need to get the sort of the C-level impetus. The knee-jerk reaction quite often is to talk about all the technical cool stuff that you can do within the cloud and these specific services that do things that are different and make things more accessible. But at the end of the day, all businesses have got similar approaches in terms of how they're going to generate profit, become more profitable, become more efficient. And it's those business outcomes that we're really looking to deliver here. If you focus on business outcomes, you can then start to plot a realistic map of how to get there. And obviously you get buy-in from all parties if they can see the benefits from the outset.
Generally, the most important business outcome is a much quicker route to market, where your IT team is actually becoming an enabler to your business to start delivering things to your customers. If we look at financial services and you look at 70 years ago, people knew their bank manager. They'd go in, they'd have a conversation, they'd talk around what the best new product, or probably wasn't even called a product back then, but the best account was for them. You've now got people, consumerisation of IT, everyone's using those apps. Well, now your favourite bank is the people that are putting everything you want on that app, and it's updating regularly, it's changing regularly, and it's about being able to do that and deliver to your customers in their new personal format, which is their phone or their device, as quickly as possible.
Yeah, for sure. The speed to market of every business is a technology business, so the quicker you can get something out there, it's a competitive advantage. It's a really compelling one for a lot of our clients. I think iterative change is is a change in methodology. So I think you talk about DevOps and using lean methodologies, which is our preference. That's what our experience has told us works well. Is rather than having a huge end goal, you can't really plot a clear path to that. Whereas if you break it down into smaller chunks and empower teams to be able to do their aspect of that work, and then you increase the collaboration with tools like Slack channels, etc., that are more readily available than ever before, you start to find that these projects get delivered quicker, but they also get delivered with better results because you can plan in testing, user acceptance testing, etc., into that methodology beforehand, and everyone knows where you're up to within that project, so it's easier to deliver. In terms of security, I think it's nowadays a lot of the customers that we speak to, we talk about different teams involved. There's always an information security team that have, there's no grey area with security. You have it or you don't. You have very much specifics. And I think quite often when you talk about the new Agile way of working, that kind of gets lost in translation. But our approach to security is learning best practices. So, we work with the big three cloud providers. What we do is we work with them to find out what the best practices are, everything from simple, the way you set up your network, to ports opening and closing. We work with them, and then we have the experience of previous projects, and we develop that and we wrap that into our service and the way we build it. I think with security, if you build it in from day one, it's much simpler to keep on top of something if you've got it right from the right starting point, rather than going in and trying to get something up and sort of disregard security because it's working, customers can use it. I think you see in the news more and more these are big customers, big companies who are having issues. The other thing as well is getting them around the table. So those teams and those people responsible at the customer side of it, they're the best people to get around the table from the start. I think previous times gone by, you would maybe get them in at the end and go, "We've done this. Can you put a tick in the box?" I think it's a completely different approach for us. Is get them involved in that conversation, and as you say, you build it from the ground up.
It's kind of the pets versus cattle mentality, where your server had a name. You cared about your server. You checked the lights were there. You'd worry if it was sick. We are proposing a totally different way of looking at your infrastructure. That any piece of infrastructure is what we call ephemeral, so it can be switched off at any time. It's short-living. So with doing that, it means you don't spend time on a box, on a server, on this named pet. You make a system that can rebuild it if something goes wrong.
I think it's time as well, isn't it? Rather than sort of trying to diagnose what the issue is and resolve it, if you can just switch it off and spin that instance back up, it's a classic IT turn it off and turn it back on again, and it saves them time, and then you start to talk about the wider conversation of innovation, and if you get that time back to a development team, for example, or an infrastructure team, what else can you do that drives those business outcomes that we referred to earlier?
Yeah, because if it's in code and you're rebuilding it, it was working previously.
Exactly.
And it makes rolling back a lot easier. For me, the single most important piece of advice I'd give someone starting off their cloud journey would be to understand what you've got on a technical level, but understand how that links into the business. So what does this service do for your end user? How do your staff interact with it? When is it busy? When is it quiet? And those kind of things.
Sometimes it's almost thinking of it in a simplistic way. I think when you look at the cloud, it's very cutting edge, etc. But it's simply you've got this application. How do your customers use it? Whether they be internal customers and different teams within the business, or whether they be external customers who are paying the bills. It's very much a case of how do you use it, and then you look to build it out from there. What have you got? How do you use it? And then you can pretty much always you can build a sensible plan off the back of that, and it will save you time in the long run, despite it sometimes thinking like you're not making progress on that journey to the cloud.